Hi, everybody. Happy New Year and welcome to another podcast. Today, I am joined by the wonderful author, David Medansky. And you're going to like what he says because it's interesting. With the new year, our first and resolution that we always come and we make a promise is what? To lose weight. And you know, when I met David a few months ago, David's literally changed my life. And in the writings of what he has, what he says in his books. So David, I want to say thank you for joining me. Welcome to this because I feel that there's going to be so many people that are going to really love what you say.
Thanks, Susan, for having me as a guest on your podcast.
Well, thank you. Seriously. You know, the latest book that you wrote is Break the Chains of Dieting. I got through reading this book, and I have to tell you something. Before I read it, I loved it because it was so real. And I felt so many people are going to relate to this because I always come across so many people that have a problem dieting, keeping the weight off. They can't seem to do it. But when I read your book and your 9 principles, it made sense.
Well, thank you. And I'm anti-diet. So that's why I wrote the book, is because diets are designed to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So if a person failed to lose weight on a diet or hasn't kept it off, it's not their fault. It's the diet's fault. The diet is to blame. And one thing I learned is, if you go back to basics of eating with the 9 principles, the beauty of this is if you just implement the first 2 principles, you'll see significant results.
So what do you tell somebody that says, I've tried every diet, I've tried everything, hypnosis, blah, blah, blah. What would you say to that person?
I would say you're going about it the wrong way because, again, diets are temporary, extreme, hard to stick with, and potentially dangerous. You want to change your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go on a diet, you're already setting yourself up to fail. 90% of the people who lose weight on a diet will gain it all back, some even more within the next year.
I've even looked at, it's funny you say that because I've had some clients who have done the state.
The burial.
There you go. I see, you're good at this. And they've gained their weight and excessively gained their weight. And they can't keep it off.
Again, it's changing your mindset, changing your eating habits and lifestyle. 80% of our thoughts are negative. Imagine changing it to be 80% positive. So what I teach people in the book through stories and fables and analogies, and these are stories that are not of success stories of people, but life lessons, and apply those life lessons to eating healthier. So when you change your mindset, so instead of saying, oh, I'm not able to have the piece of cake or pie or cookie or indulge in the goodies with the holiday, festivities, instead of doing it that way, look at it as a positive and say, I'm choosing to eat healthy. I'm choosing not to indulge. I'm choosing to give my body the right fuel. And so I help people with that mindset.
I agree with that because, sometimes I'm dairy and gluten. The allergies that I have, I'm very intolerant. So people go, well, how do you stay away from all this great food? How do you stay away from cheese? And I just say, well, when I look at it as it's poison to my system.
Exactly.
And that's how it keeps me going.
Well, Oprah Winfrey has an expression, and I'm paraphrasing, what you focus on expands.
Absolutely.
So instead of focusing on the things you want to avoid, the universe is going to give you that because that's what you're focusing on. If you focus on eating the apple, eating, the piece of fruit, the whole foods instead of the processed and manufactured foods, then that's what you're going to get more of, and that's what you're going to crave more of.
I agree with that. And the mindset is everything, not just in diet, but in everyday life. And this is what I loved about your book because it teaches this. So for those of you that are watching Break the Chains of Dieting, this is a great book because you are going to be able to relate to this book. And I did. And I mean, there isn't a person alive that I don't believe will not be able to relate to it because you talk, when you're reading this, I feel like I'm speaking to you, but you're talking to me you're not talking at me. Like I can relate to all the stories that you have in this book.
Thank you. I wanted to make it entertaining as well as informative
It
and
was.
an easy read,
It
so that
was.
people will implement what they're learning through the lessons.
Yeah.
And to keep it simple.
You know what? Simple is best because people can relate to simplicity. So I will say that. So, here's the thing. When I look at somebody who can't lose weight, and this is what I get from a lot of people, I really don't eat much. So I really don't know how I gain weight. So you know what I always tell them? Well, then either you're eating wrong or you have a thyroid problem. And I'm not making fun of it either because I have a thyroid problem. But, when people, I think they kind of kid themselves when they say, I really don't eat much. I don't know. It's just maybe the way my body is. Well, don't you want to further it? Don't you want to further that along and find out why?
Let's talk about that, because
Yeah.
there's several myths that I like to get into
Okay.
about weight loss and healthy eating.
Okay.
The first one is, if you don't eat a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you put your body in starvation mode.
Mm-hmm.
So your body wants to retain the weight because you're not giving it the right fuel and nutrients. The other thing is diet soda, even though it's 0 calories, it contains aspartame. Aspartame has 92 known side effects that are negative. One of those is weight gain. And people are like, well, how does something with 0 calories cause weight gain? Aspartame is the artificial sweetener used in diet sodas. Aspartame has 2 negative things for weight. One, it increases your cravings for sweetness. So now, after you've had the diet soda, you want something sweet to satisfy. Number 2, aspartame inhibits your body or prevents it from absorbing vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. So again, you're not giving your body the right fuel, the right nutrition it needs to support itself. So that's one of the things about diet soda. It's the worst thing you can do. Our bodies are 60 to 70% water. Not soda, not diet soda. 75% of the US adult population is chronically dehydrated. 73% of the US adult population is overweight. There's a direct correlation between not drinking enough water and being overweight. So again, our bodies are 60 to 70% water, not soda, not diet soda, not fruit juices, and not fruit flavored beverages. Another myth is people think they have to go exercise and work out like crazy to reduce weight. That is a fallacy. Most of what you put in your mouth determines your weight. Exercise is important for overall health and fitness. What happens, especially around New Year's resolutions, people will start going to the gym the first 2 or 3 weeks, and they'll be working out and doing everything they're supposed to. However, the scale's not moving. Fat and muscle weigh the exact same amount. 5 pounds of fat is 5 pounds of
I found that interesting. I did not
muscle.
know that.
However, muscle takes up a lot less space than the fat. So what happens is people are replacing the fat with muscle. So the scale's not going down. However, their clothes are feeling looser. I had a client who was doing, coaching with me for 3 weeks, and he was upset because the scale wasn't moving. So I asked him, I said, are you exercising? He says, yeah. I'm walking 5 miles a day, riding my bike. And I said, well, how are your clothes feeling? He says, they're loose. In fact, people are asking me if I'm losing weight. And I said, well, don't go by the scale. Go by how your clothes feel.
I agree with that. I'm not a lover of scales. I'll tell you right now, I do it. Seriously, if my clothes are too tight, that's everything for me.
Right.
That keeps me in track. And I always say, try to stay away from elastic because you're giving yourself permission to stretch. Yeah. And so don't do that because you are going to gain weight when you do that because you're being very tolerant of what you can eat.
Exactly. And I'm speaking from experience, and I put this in the book. And for people who don't know, I'm known as the overweight person's best friend because as someone who was fat and at age 61 was told by his doctor he had a 95% chance for a fatal heart attack, I had to do something. So I lost weight and I learned how to eat healthy, and I did it without exercising and without counting calories. So that's what I explained in the book. And people are like, well, how do you do that? And again, I go back to the basics. And the first principle is to drink more water. And that's why water is so important. The second one is to avoid the processed and manufactured foods because they're loaded with chemicals and artificial ingredients, which means it's not made in nature. If it's not made in nature, it's not good for your body.
I get a lot of people that think sugar is really good if they eat it in abundance because it's natural. And
Well-
I don't agree with that, okay? Because I mean, you can have fruit, of course, but you know, even when you talk to dentists and orthodontists, they'll be the first one to tell you it's going to rot your teeth. It's not what you think it is.
Sugar is the worst drug out there. It's very addictive.
Yep.
And there's different types of sugars.
Yeah.
And so people get confused between refined sugar and natural occurring sugar.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I'll eat 2 dates and it has a lot of sugar, but it's a complex carbohydrate. So it takes my body time to process. I don't get that immediate spike. It's
Mm-hmm.
gradual. Where if you eat a Hershey bar, it's instantaneous and it's not sustainable. The other thing is a date has a lot of nutrition, a lot of potassium in it, more potassium than a banana. However, Hershey bar has 0 nutritional value.
Yeah.
The other thing is calories in and calories out is a myth because there's different calories
Mm-hmm.
and not all calories are created equal. As an example, a medium-sized apple is 90 to 100 calories. However, it takes your body 25 calories to digest and process it. So it's a net of 75 calories. And it has all great phytonutrients and a lot of other nutritional benefits. A Hershey bar, or M&Ms or Snickers, has about 100 calories, 125 calories, no nutritional value, and doesn't take your body any effort or burn any calories to process it. So you can't always go by calories in, calories out.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, being a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to read fine print.
Mm-hmm.
And when they talk about low fat, what they don't tell you about is the sugars in the items. So people are thinking, well, low fat's healthy for me, when it's not, because the sugars are hidden.
Yeah.
So I expose that. I teach people in the book how to read nutritional fact labels, the panels, because everybody looks at the calories, the servings, the proteins, the sugars, the sodium. No one reads the fine print,
You know,
which is the ingredients.
it's so true because, you know, my daughter, when she was young, she had verbal autism, and I started getting in touch with a lot of biochemists. And one chemist out of Canada, I'll never forget, he said to me, I'm going to make this really easy for you. If the ingredients are more than 3 sentences, don't bother.
Or if you're not able to pronounce it.
Yeah, don't bother. Well, and he, you know, it's funny because I had gotten an ingredient, a book on ingredients behind the ingredients. And I found that it was so rewarding. But you know, what I like about your book too, it's not only once you start doing the regimen of a lifestyle change, but your brain, your mind is even better. That's something I wanted to say too.
Yeah, you'll have more mental clarity,
Yeah.
more energy, you'll feel better,
Yeah.
and improve your overall health. And isn't that what we all want, is to
Yeah.
feel better, have more energy, look better, and improve our overall health? So that's why this is important, this book. You know, that's why I wanted to share what I've learned on my weight loss journey with others. What I realized when I lost my weight, I went back and started reading books from the 1970s by William Duffy, Sugar Blues,
Mm-hmm.
Richard Simmons books,
Mhm.
Jack LaLanne books, Paul and
Mhm.
Patricia Bragg's books.
Sure.
And then I started reading current books. And what I realized, there's a lot of dishonest people. And as a lawyer, I've met a lot of honest and dishonest people. And unfortunately, in the food industry and the weight loss industry, there's a lot of dishonesty. In a lot of the current books, they're promoting their own products or programs, and they make it sound like if you don't buy my product or
Mm-hmm.
supplement or program, you're going to fail. I don't promote anything in this book. It's all simple things that your audience can do. Yeah, for example,
Yeah.
drink more water. Number 2, most people don't realize our food portions have been supersized without us realizing it. In the 1900s, the average size dinner plate was 9 inches in diameter. Today it's 12 inches. Yet if you go to a restaurant, it's 12 to 15 inches. So what I tell people when you go to a restaurant, cut your portion size in half, get a to-go box right away, take half to go.
Good
so
idea.
You're eating less, and you're getting 2 meals for the price of one, so you're saving money.
Great strategy. I love that.
The other thing is,
Yeah.
in Europe, the average size dinner plate is still 9 inches in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've done is I use a blue plate.
Which is?
I use a salad plate.
Okay, got it.
And the reason I say blue plate is because blue is an appetite suppressant.
Okay.
Red and yellow are appetite stimulants. That's why McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Denny, all the other fast foods have red and yellow or a combination in their marketing to increase people's appetites.
That's fascinating to me. But it's interesting how they do this and how these foods become so addicting to people. I do believe potato chips, for instance, is addicting. There's a lot of truth to that. You just can't eat one.
There's a lot of truth in it.
I think it is.
What people don't realize, Howard Moskowitz was hired by the food industry to optimize our cravings for fat, sugar, salt, texture.
Yeah.
So our food is scientifically engineered, at least the processed food and manufactured food.
Mm-hmm.
When they say, bet you can't eat just one, it's not a dare, it's a fact.
I agree.
Not only
I agree with that.
Oreo cookies are more addicting than cocaine.
Oh my goodness.
People don't realize that.
Wow.
So when people say it's difficult to break their habits, it's true.
All right, with what you just said now, this is great. This is interesting to me. So for people that are on the Coke drinks or the Oreo cookies, and what you just said, because it's very addicting and I get that, how would you tell people to start weaning off? What would you tell them?
The first thing I would tell them is to reduce their amount they consume. So if you drink 2 or 3 sodas a day, reduce it down to 1.
Do you think that's too much, too quick?
No, because you're still giving your body something.
Okay.
Instead of going cold turkey.
Okay.
If you go cold turkey, it's difficult. I consider myself like an alcoholic. I'm a chocoholic. And I know that when I was on my, gaining my weight, I was addicted to Pringles potato chips. I'd eat a whole canister and still want more.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, oh wow, they're scientifically engineering this to make me want to crave more. So I don't ever touch a Pringles. I don't touch M&Ms. I don't have a Hershey bar, or Snickers bar, or candy bars. And the reason is I know once I start, I won't stop. So I treat myself as an alcoholic who won't touch drink, because once they start, they know they can't stop because their body remembers. And so one thing is to start reducing. The other thing is we do a lot of mindless eating. So we're at our computers, we're watching TV, we're working, and we're eating, and we're not paying attention. So you go through a whole bag or box of cookies or chips, or pretzels, or you'll go through the drive-thru and you're driving, and you'll eat your hamburger and fries and wash it down with the soda, and then it's like, well, where'd the food go? Because you're not paying attention. So I teach people to pay attention to their food, eat slower, and then just start changing what you're eating.
You know, it's interesting. You know how so many people, they have such a hard time budgeting their money. And I always say it's your relationship with money that has to change. Well, it's your relationship with food. So one day, it was interesting because I was about 55 pounds heavier than what I was as well. And I ate because I was tired. I ate that I was cranky. I ate because I was bored. I mean, really, I did. I would just go to the food. The food would give me
comfort.
Yeah. So I did something. Everything that I ate, and I had to be honest with myself, but everything that I ate, I wrote down in a day.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I looked at it and I said, I ate all this? Because you're right. We don't realize what we're putting in our mouth.
Exactly.
We don't. And I realized when I saw the list, I said, what the heck am I doing?
And you know what? Diet has an acronym. There's 2 of them that I like to use.
Okay.
One is, did I eat that?
Yeah.
The other one is from Forbes Riley, who taught me this. Diet is decisions I eat today.
I love that.
So
I love that because that could be really spun in a different way, a positive way.
Exactly.
I like that.
When I coach people, I tell them, write down everything you eat, but I go further than that. Not only what you eat, when you eat, where you're eating it, and why you're eating it, so we can explore. Because again, you want to change your relationship with food. I look at my body as an incredible machine that it is. And I look at food as fuel for the body. Most people look at food as comfort, entertainment, socializing, enjoyment, and not for what it's doing to the body. So that's what I teach people is let's write everything down and figure out why, where, when you're doing certain things
That's really
and address
smart.
the underlying issues.
That's beyond smart. And I love why am I doing it? Where am I doing it? That's actually good because I never thought about it. Where are you? Because it can make all the difference in the world.
For example, you talk about reducing. I had a client, she loved to have a couple drinks a night, vodka, and it was always at 6 o'clock. And I said, well, why do you drink at 6 o'clock? She goes, I don't know. I said, well, why are you drinking? And she goes, I just do. So I said, see what happens when you stop and make a conscious decision. She said, I don't need to drink the drink anymore. And because I realized I was just doing it out of habit. And I have another client, he liked to have 2 martinis every night, 5 o'clock, like clockwork. And it was a habit that he'd done for 20, 30 years. So I said, Phil, can you reduce the martini to 1 a day? He goes, yeah, I could do that. So he did that, and then he got down to half, and he stopped completely. And I said, do you miss it? He goes, no, as long as I don't think about it.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize, it takes 66 days to create a new habit on average. That's what the research says. Not 21, not 30 days.
66?
On average, 66 days.
Wow.
And bad habits are hard to break. Good habits are hard to keep. And creating new habits are difficult to establish. So people need to give themselves time. And what happens is they hear the national brands advertise, lose 20, 30 pounds, guaranteed your first month. Number one, it's not healthy. Number two, it's not sustainable. So what I usually ask people is, would you like to weigh 24 to 48 pounds less by this time next year? And most people, well, yeah, of course. Okay. Can you lose 2 to 3 or 4 pounds a month? Not a week, a month. Well, yeah, that's doable. All right. Well, if you do that on average, consistently for 12 months, you're going to be 24 to 48 pounds lighter by this time next year. Just give it time. You didn't gain your weight all at one time. It's not going to come off all at one time.
Smart, because I don't think it's healthy for the heart when you're losing it drastically so fast.
No, the most health professionals will agree 1 to 2 pounds per week is healthy.
Okay.
So I'm just saying 1 to 2 pounds, 3 pounds a month will get you to where you want to be. Eventually, just give yourself time. The other thing is, when people start dropping the weight, they have more energy, they want to be more physically active.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot too, because now you're moving. And when you move, you burn more calories.
And how great do you feel when you get into the clothes that you never thought you'd wear again because you thought you're too heavy for it?
Or the compliments people give you.
Absolutely, and they do.
Yeah.
They really do. But I like, this book is all about mindfulness, I think. Strategies to get you in the right place to lose the weight.
Yeah, and there's 2 stories I'd like to talk about.
Yeah.
The first one is in the first chapter about being a pilot of your own weight loss journey. And the reason I bring that up is if you fly an airplane from Los Angeles to New York or vice versa, and you're off 1 degree, you're off 150 miles from your destination. And most airplanes are on autopilot.
Right.
And the autopilot's correcting 90% or more all the time. So think of your weight loss journey as being on autopilot where you're correcting. So if you get off course, don't beat yourself up. Just get back on course. And just keep adjusting. And eventually you'll get to where you're having an enjoyable lifestyle that's healthy for you. The other one is a chef and a daughter. And the daughter's complaining. The chef says, okay, get 3 pots of water in equal size and puts them on the stove, heats it up, and he says, put a potato in one, an egg in another, and coffee grounds in the third. So she does. After 20 minutes, he says, okay, what do you see? She says, I see a potato, an egg, and coffee. And he goes, no. He said, the potato went in hard and came out soft. The egg went in soft and came out hard. And the grounds went in and came out that you couldn't eat, tasting flavorful. He said, that's how you approach life. You determine the situation and how you want to approach it. So that's one of the lessons that is in there, applying it to how you can eat healthier.
I love that.
It's how you address the situation.
That is so nice. I'm listening to you and it makes so much sense. And you know why I like it? Because we as human beings make things complicated than it needs to be. Would you agree?
I would agree. And people look at this and they say, I know those 9 principles. I said, yes, we all know what to do. We just don't do it. One of the great aspects of this book is that I teach people how not only to get an accountability partner, but how to handle the accountability partner call and what to do. It's not only what to do, but how to do it. And being a lawyer, people could pay me $400 for my knowledge and healthy eating, or they can get the book. It's less than $9 on Kindle and less than $20 as a paperback on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, bookstores. So they can save a lot of money because I wanted to help people. So I put only not what to do, but how to do it in the book.
I know, and it's nice. And you also, I wasn't aware of this, and I believe it. Break the Chain was #1 in 10 separate categories on Amazon.
Right, for new releases. I was real excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank
I'm
you.
not surprised. I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to keep going and going and going.
And I want to make this book an industry classic. And Jack Canfield was kind enough to recommend and endorse it. And it was based on merit. I didn't take one of Jack's programs or courses. I sent him the manuscript, and he said he was intrigued by the front cover, and he read it, and he loved it. So he approved the blurb for the front cover, and he wrote a nice little comment on it.
I noticed that, and what a great compliment that is. But you know what? Seriously, this is something good. So here's the thing that I'm going to ask you. So you coach people as well?
I do a little bit of coaching.
Okay. I know you write a lot of books because and for everybody that's watching, look up David because you will see everything that he has written. David, you're going to keep writing more books. I know that. I know that because you know what? You're kind of like the potato chip guy. I think once you're writing, there's going to be more and more. I don't think it's going to stop because I'll say why. Because you are constantly helping people, but changing how we look at things. And that is the success in what you're doing for people.
Thank you. And what's interesting is when I decided to write the third book,
yeah,
I asked Dr. David Friedman, who's the author of award-winning international awards and best-selling author of Food Sanity, to write the foreword to the book. And Dr. Friedman actually wrote a blurb for the second book, If Not Now When. And he says, why would you like to go through the expense and aggravation and time writing a third book? I said, I have a message and I have a unique way to share that message. Just there's nothing out there like this with the stories. And I think that would be a good way to convey to people how they can just apply simple, basic things such as eating slower, eating less, drinking more water, avoiding processed and manufactured foods, eating more whole foods. And he says, okay.
Your storytelling. And storytelling, people absorb that. People remember the stories, and that is what makes it a success. This is why this is working, and this is why you are unlike any other dietitian, food guru. This is really, it's funny. For those of you that are watching, David and I met at a show that we were both doing, and we were literally right next to each other. And, I have to say, if I walked away with anything, it was because my husband and I met you, and we just loved you. And I don't know, there was just something. And then the more I kept reading your books, talking to you, I says, I got to ask this guy to come on and be a guest on the podcast, because I truly believe that all of you that are listening, break the chain of dieting. Okay, this is the book to get. I recommend it. This will be a great gift to buy anybody, for yourself, give it to somebody. This is going to work because David's storytelling is going to make sense. I truly believe that.
And not only take my word that it's a great book.
It is.
Kirkus Reviews, which is the toughest book critics in the world, gave it 4 out of 4 star reviews. And readers' favorite, I have 5 star reviews from them, but the one that really touched me emotionally is where he wrote, a book has left a significant impact on you if your choices and habits are affected by it before you even finish reading it.
It's very true, because before I finished reading your book, I just looked at it and I said, this guy is going to get through many people, because you're speaking truth, but you're not complicating things. Many times, and you can maybe agree with this, but many times with diets, if they're too complicated or they're too boring, people are like, I can't do that. They've already decided this. Think about it. Their mindset decided it. They can't do it.
Exactly. Not only that, a diet is like a sprint. A sprint has a finish line. A diet has a goal, and when a lot of people reach their goal, they revert back to their bad eating habits.
Mm-hmm.
If you think of a lifestyle as running a marathon, and you change your eating habits based on your lifestyle and vice versa, now you're going slower.
Mm-hmm.
And think of it as a marathon without a finish line.
I agree with you. Yeah. So for those people that are watching, and I know I have a big audience that loves all these podcasts because I like to bring informative type topics that will help change your life. How could people get a hold of you, or if they want to order your book, go ahead and tell them.
They can reach me at breakthedietchains.com. That's break, B-R-E-A-K, thedietchains, plural.com.
Mm-hmm.
Or the book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, independent bookstores, and you can go to your library, and the library can actually order it so you can get it for free. Save some more money.
This is something that I'm going to tell you. I'm going to be forwarding this to so many people.
It's also available as a Kindle, and
Yeah.
the audiobook will be coming out shortly.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Great, because I have so many people that say they don't really comprehend it doesn't stick, but if they hear it, a lot of people now, they're listening to podcasts, in their cars, and it seems to really work for them. My
Right.
daughter's one of those people. She loves it, and she sustains it all.
So it'll be coming out soon. And the other thing is,
Okay.
with the holidays coming up,
Yeah.
3 words of it, 3 little sayings I like to use.
Mm-hmm.
When people are offering you the goodies,
Mm-hmm.
more for you.
Mm.
It looks better on you than me.
I like that.
Or better in the trash than on my ass.
Well, there you go.
So you can use that. And again, you're making a healthy choice. And a couple other little tips. If you want to look like you're participating with everybody
Yeah.
who's indulging, take a plate, put a few things on it, and just carry the plate around with you. Or get a glass of wine or a drink, carry it around, just don't drink it. And then at the end, put it down. So everybody thinks you're indulging or participating when you're really not.
You know what I think of when you say that? Think of everything you put on your plate. Like when you go to a buffet, okay? And you're putting everything and you want to hurry up and put it down because it's heavy. Think of it when it's doing to your body.
Yeah.
With everything you're stockpiling in your body. Think about that.
Dad, when you talk about buffet and all you can eat,
Yeah,
just because it's all you can eat doesn't mean you have to eat it all.
I agree. You know, we're so programmed to think that way.
And again,
Or we're meant to finish everything on our plate.
Right.
Remember when we were children?
Yep.
And I say, that's a concept we were brought up with, but it's not a good concept.
no, and slow down. Mark David wrote a book, Slow Down Diet, and he says,
Yeah.
for breakfast, if you take 5 minutes, give yourself 10 or 15 minutes. And give a minimum of 30 minutes at lunch and dinner.
Mm.
The other thing is, a lot of people are doing intermittent fasting without realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
If you stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed, let's say you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, and you stop eating at 7 o'clock at night, and your first meal is at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, that's an intermittent fast.
Mm.
And just because you're eating breakfast doesn't mean it has to be the first thing you put in your mouth. So the first thing I do is I drink 16 to 32 ounces of water.
I know, you're a big water drinker. Big. And I know that because I remember that's what you were telling us at the show.
Yeah.
I remember that. But you know what? You're right.
Well, for 60 to 70% water,
You're right,
I want to keep
100%.
hydrated. And again, if you're doing a lot of physical activity, you want to drink more water. If you're in the heat, like in the desert where we live.
Yeah.
The other thing is, people's perceptions are changing
Mm-hmm.
because they're seeing someone who's heavier than they are, so they think they're okay, and they're not. You're both overweight. And in the 1960s, the average male weighed about 162 pounds. Today, it's 198 pounds. For a female,
Wow.
it's about 140 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1960s, today it's 168 pounds. So we've increased our sizes by 30 pounds for male and female over the last 40, 50 years. And the reason I bring this up is I was looking at some pictures of people on the beach in the 1970s, and you don't see really anybody that's significantly overweight.
Right.
And yet today, 73% of the U.S. adult population is overweight. And one of the stories I convey in the book, some friends were looking at their high school yearbook because they come up to their 50th year anniversary, and their kids were saying, "Hey, Dad, can you go back to those pictures?" And he says, "Yeah, why?" He goes, "None of the kids in your high school were fat." And Lyle chimed in and said, yeah, none of the kids I remember were overweight, maybe one or two. Same with me. And so today you look at kids and at least 25% of them are overweight because of all the fast food.
Yeah.
It's convenience. It's easier to
Right.
order a pizza, pick up a bucket of fried chicken,
I know.
go to the drive-thru, get a frozen microwavable meal and throw it in the microwave. You're not really putting nutritional food into your body.
I haven't been to a fast food in years, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
I am. I'm not trying to, do that, but, to say I'm against it, but I'm very mindful what I put in. I am.
When my wife and I travel, every once in a while, we'll stop at a McDonald's.
I haven't even done that.
And
I haven't done any of it.
I'll get an egg sandwich, or I'll get something,
Yeah.
that I know is minimally, it's not as processed. And so I'm not a purist. I don't want people to think that, I don't indulge. I have a piece of cake every once in a while.
Sure you do. You're human.
The difference is what I used to eat in one meal or one setting will last me 4 or 5. I just take a sliver and taste, and I'm satisfied.
Yeah. What would be the last message that you want to leave the audience today?
Start now. Stop procrastinating. We all make excuses. We all wait till after the holidays, after vacation. I'll start on Monday. In the book, I list the top 10 excuses for procrastinating, for starting a healthy weight loss journey, and also improving your health and your lifestyle.
Thank you for that. I thank you for joining us. This was great. I think for everybody that is watching, go and get this book. I am such a fan of this book, David Medansky. This is just a fantastic book, and I thank you. Many more books. Check out David's other books. You will be pleasantly surprised. Gift giving, change somebody's life by giving a book like this, because this is something that everybody will benefit from it in so many ways. I thank you so much. Wishing you a very happy and most blessed new year and a productive one. Take care. Until next time. Bye-bye.